Have you ever noticed how sometimes the quietest moments speak the loudest about where a woman truly stands emotionally? It's not always in grand declarations or dramatic gestures. It's often in the subtle, almost invisible shifts that reveal her readiness to open her heart again. Emotional readiness isn't about rushing into a new relationship or wearing confidence like armor. It's about an inner peace, a gentle but firm grounding that grows over time through experience, reflection, and sometimes healing. Think of emotional readiness like a delicate dance between the heart and mind, a balance that tells a story about self-awareness, acceptance, and growth. It's in the way she listens deeply to her own feelings without judgment, acknowledging both strength and vulnerability. It's in the boundaries she quietly enforces, not as walls, but as respectful markers of self-love. This readiness shows in how she speaks, honestly, openly, without fear of being truly seen or heard. Imagine waking up after a restless night, feeling overwhelmed by a flood of emotions you can't quite name. Maybe anxiety clings tightly to your chest or sadness weighs heavily on your mind. Now imagine if instead of being swept away by those feelings, you could pause, recognize what you're experiencing, and gently guide yourself back to calm. This ability to recognize and manage emotions is called emotional regulation, and it's a cornerstone of emotional readiness. Emotional regulation doesn't mean suppressing feelings or pretending everything is fine when it's not. Instead, it's about being aware of your emotions as they arise and choosing how to respond to them in a healthy way. Psychologists emphasize that this skill develops over time and is linked closely to self-awareness, the conscious knowledge of one's own character and feelings. A woman who is emotionally ready often shows a deep understanding of her emotional landscape. She knows when she's triggered, what causes her stress, and how to soothe herself without spiraling into negativity. This self-awareness creates space for better decision-making. Instead of reacting impulsively, she reflects on her feelings and the situation, allowing her to respond thoughtfully. For example, if hurt feelings emerge during a conversation, emotional regulation helps her communicate those feelings clearly instead of shutting down or lashing out. This ability fosters healthier interactions and builds stronger connections. From a developmental perspective, emotional regulation is influenced by early experiences and relationships. When caregivers respond sensitively to a child's emotions, it teaches the child that feelings are valid and manageable. As adults, those lessons become tools for navigating complex emotional terrain. Even if past experiences were challenging, emotional regulation can be cultivated through mindfulness, therapy, and practice. Ultimately, emotional readiness shines brightest when a woman can hold her emotions with kindness and clarity. It's this skill that empowers her to engage in relationships with openness and resilience. Setting healthy boundaries is an essential sign of emotional readiness, reflecting a woman's ability to protect her well-being while maintaining respectful relationships. Boundaries are not just rules or limits. They are personal guidelines that define what feels safe and comfortable in interactions with others. Psychologically, boundaries are closely linked to a person's self-esteem and sense of identity. When a woman has clear boundaries, it shows she understands her own needs and values enough to communicate them clearly. Healthy boundaries allow her to say no without guilt and to prioritize her own mental and emotional health. This means she can recognize when a situation or relationship is draining or harmful and take steps to protect herself. Setting boundaries requires self-awareness and courage because it often involves standing up against expectations or pressures from others. But it also creates a space where trust and respect can grow, because boundaries communicate what is acceptable and what is not in a relationship. Psychology highlights that people who struggle with boundary setting may have experienced blurred or violated boundaries in the past, leading to confusion or fear about asserting themselves. Emotional readiness involves overcoming those fears and learning to advocate for one's own needs. This process often involves reflecting on past experiences, understanding patterns of behavior, and practicing assertiveness. Boundaries are also flexible. They can change based on context and growth. What feels safe and appropriate at one stage of life may shift as a woman gains new insights or enters different relationships. This adaptability is a sign of emotional maturity, showing that she can balance her own needs with empathy for others. When boundaries are respected and maintained, relationships tend to be healthier and more fulfilling. They provide a foundation where emotional safety, mutual respect, and genuine connection can flourish. Processing and accepting past experiences is a crucial step in emotional readiness, especially for women who carry the weight of their histories with them. Our past shapes much of who we are, our beliefs, fears, and patterns of behavior. But emotional readiness means reaching a place where those experiences no longer control or define us in unhealthy ways. Instead, they become sources of insight and growth. In psychology, this acceptance is often linked to the concept of emotional integration. It involves acknowledging past hurts, disappointments, and traumas without denying or suppressing them. When a woman has reached this stage, she has faced those experiences with honesty, allowing herself to feel the associated emotions fully rather than pushing them away. This process can be painful, but it is necessary for healing and self-awareness. Acceptance doesn't mean forgetting or excusing harmful events. Rather, it means understanding how those events affected her and finding ways to make peace with them. This might involve reframing the narrative, seeing past struggles as moments of learning or strength rather than as sources of shame or resentment. Psychologists often encourage practices like journaling, therapy, and mindfulness to help individuals explore and reframe their past in empowering ways. When emotional readiness is present, a woman can carry her past with grace rather than burden. She no longer needs to hide behind defenses or project old wounds onto new relationships. Instead, she approaches connections with openness, understanding that her history is part of her story but does not have to dictate her future. This acceptance fosters resilience, a psychological quality that enables her to bounce back from setbacks with hope and courage. It also deepens empathy, allowing her to recognize and honor the struggles of others. Ultimately, the ability to accept and learn from the past is a powerful marker of emotional growth and readiness. Open and authentic communication is a powerful indicator of emotional readiness, reflecting a woman's ability to express her true feelings and needs without fear or hesitation. In psychological terms, this form of communication is closely tied to emotional intelligence and vulnerability, the courage to be seen as she truly is, rather than wearing a mask to protect herself from judgment or rejection. When a woman communicates authentically, she invites deeper connection and trust. This means she doesn't just share surface-level thoughts, but allows others to understand her inner world, including her fears, hopes, and desires. Psychology teaches us that such openness promotes intimacy because it creates a safe space for others to respond with empathy and understanding. It also reduces misunderstandings, as true feelings and expectations are clearly expressed. Authentic communication requires self-awareness, knowing what one truly feels and needs, and the ability to convey these feelings effectively. This involves more than just words. Tone, body language, and timing also play important roles. A woman who is emotionally ready learns to listen actively as well, valuing not only her own voice but also the voices of those she interacts with. This reciprocal communication strengthens bonds and fosters mutual respect. From a developmental perspective, the capacity for open communication often grows through experiences where vulnerability was met with support rather than criticism. Negative experiences can make people wary of sharing, leading to guardedness or avoidance. Emotional readiness means overcoming these fears, trusting that authentic expression will not lead to harm, but rather to understanding. Moreover, this kind of communication encourages problem-solving and emotional regulation within relationships. When feelings are expressed clearly and respectfully, conflicts can be addressed constructively instead of escalating into misunderstandings or resentment. Ultimately, authentic communication is the bridge between two hearts, enabling genuine connection and emotional growth. Emotional readiness in women is deeply connected to their capacity for empathy and understanding, which allows them to truly connect with others on an emotional level. Empathy goes beyond simply feeling sorry for someone. It involves stepping into another person's shoes and perceiving their emotions as if they were one's own, while still maintaining a clear sense of self. This ability is vital for building and sustaining meaningful relationships because it fosters compassion, patience, and deeper emotional bonds. Psychologically, empathy is a complex skill that involves both cognitive and affective components. Cognitive empathy is the ability to intellectually understand another person's perspective, while affective empathy is the emotional response to another's feelings. Together, these aspects enable a woman to respond sensitively to the emotional needs of those around her, providing comfort and support without losing her own emotional balance. This quality is often developed through early social experiences and modeled by caregivers who demonstrated responsive and attuned behaviors. When a woman has nurtured her empathy, she becomes more adept at recognizing subtle emotional cues, such as changes in tone, body language, or facial expressions. This sensitivity helps her navigate social interactions with grace, avoiding misunderstandings and responding in ways that validate others' feelings. Empathy also plays a key role in conflict resolution. When she can understand where someone else is coming from, even in disagreement, she is more likely to approach the situation with patience rather than defensiveness. This promotes healthier communication and reduces the likelihood of emotional escalation. Moreover, the ability to empathize contributes to emotional resilience. By understanding that everyone carries their own struggles, a woman can maintain perspective and compassion, which supports both her well-being and the well-being of those she cares about. In relationships, this empathy becomes a foundation for mutual respect and emotional intimacy, vital components of emotional readiness. Consistent self-care and independence are crucial markers of emotional readiness, reflecting a woman's commitment to nurturing her own well-being while maintaining her sense of autonomy. Psychology teaches that emotional health is deeply intertwined with the ability to care for oneself physically, mentally, and emotionally. When a woman prioritizes self-care, she demonstrates respect for her own needs, which lays a strong foundation for healthy relationships. Self-care goes beyond occasional pampering. It involves regular practices that support balance and resilience. This can include maintaining healthy routines, managing stress through mindfulness or relaxation techniques, engaging in hobbies that bring joy, and seeking help when needed. By investing in these habits, a woman builds emotional stamina and clarity, enabling her to face life's challenges without becoming overwhelmed. Independence, on the other hand, is about having a clear sense of identity and the confidence to make decisions for oneself. Emotional readiness involves recognizing that one's happiness and self-worth are not solely dependent on others. This independence fosters a sense of security, reducing fear of abandonment or codependency in relationships. A woman who is emotionally ready understands that a partnership complements her life rather than completes it. Psychologically, both self-care and independence are linked to self-efficacy, the belief in one's ability to influence outcomes and manage life's demands. When this belief is strong, a woman can navigate stress and setbacks with greater ease. She is less likely to lose herself in a relationship or sacrifice her needs to please others, which promotes healthier dynamics built on mutual respect. Moreover, consistent self-care and independence contribute to emotional boundaries. By knowing and honoring her limits, she protects her emotional energy and prevents burnout. This balance of caring for oneself while engaging with others is a sign of emotional maturity and readiness, allowing love and connection to flourish in a sustainable way.